Hey, how y'all doing? Um, my first time going live. Um, I got my buddy right here, and we're gonna be talking a little bit of Sacramento. So I put my little Sacramento dog hat on him. If you can't see, it's Sacramento Kings. I don't know how blurry this is because it's on my laptop. But later on today, or later on this evening, we're gonna have Anthony come in here and try to fit him in there some way somehow. So I know last time it was kind of hard to see Anthony's face. So if you can't hear Anthony, oh, and I'm wearing a Bernie Maxwell jersey. So like I said, I haven't really kept up with the fact that I've been keeping up with different jerseys as um, the show has been going on and progressing. But I have been representing the Rockets with everything I've been wearing. So hopefully we can get Anthony in here soon. And Anthony really doesn't have a big YouTube channel yet, so Anthony is having trouble with going live stream with me. But right now, you know, as of right now, this is what we have to do to keep Anthony engaged and let him grow as well with the channel that we're starting already. But Anthony has a lot of promise, and like I said, Anthony is so knowledgeable about all NBA, all sports. You know, he knows Astros, he knows Rockets, he knows Saints, he knows everything. So he knows as much as I. He's just a sports fanatic. And I'm gonna drink a little bit of Starbucks, but don't worry, it's pure black coffee. Somebody had bought it for me. I want to keep it. It's not a mocha latte, but I do want to talk a little bit about the Rockets. They have a big game tomorrow, and they're going to announce their new jerseys. Their Oilers colors still representing the old school before the Texans, the Oilers. The Texans do not own those colors, so I think Tillman Fertitta stuck it to the Tennessee Titans a little bit, getting those colors. Excuse me, getting those colors. And I'm not a big fan of the jersey. Maybe it might grow on me within time, but as of right now, like I said, I like the floor though. I like the arena. I like the floor. I like the because it kind of reminds me of the old school colors with the fact that they were kind of similar with the Rockets in that period of time. So I kind of like the floor with the Rockets shooting out the court. I mean, who didn't love that? I love that I love that what do you call it? That artist, whoever came up with that. I know a lot of people are not a big fans of the pinstripe jerseys. They're more of a fan of these colors. And I like the colors. They had similar jerseys last year, well, identical, but I haven't seen them so far this year. I hope we get to see that because I love those jerseys. And also, we could talk all sports. Like I said, we got Tracy right here. You know, I love talking about Tracy McGrady. He reminds me a little bit, and not identical, but James Harden. He's one player I wanted to talk about. James Harden has the ability to be like a hot Tracy McGrady at times, but more efficient, kind of like a Baron Davis. And Tracy McGrady is the man. I'm not gonna stir that wrong. But he reminds me, James Harden reminds me a mixture of Tracy McGrady and Baron Davis. If they ever had a baby in some weird way, it formed James Harden. So that's what I see. I can't see my buddy's eyes wearing that nasty Sacramento hat. It's my dog's hat. It's the only one that was available. So my dog does wear hats. If you haven't seen my dog, he loves wearing sports gear as well. We're just fanatics here, and we're here to talk about anything y'all want to talk about as well. So if you want to engage with us, you know, feel free to talk about anything. You know, message. I'll answer your questions. Um, you know, breaking news. I'm gonna break it down. If you haven't heard my podcast on Spotify, I even have a Spotify podcast that I haven't actually kept up with the last few days, but I was posting up videos of videos of Spotify consistently because I wanted to keep it going. But you know, I started dabbling with YouTube a little more, and I love the YouTube thing. You know, I love getting that interaction. You know, people get to see my face besides just my voice, so that's something I love. And you can see sports is my life, but also my family is my life. You know, my family is very important to me. You know, they support me with this channel, And, I want Anthony, who I twisted his arm to join my podcast because we're always engaging in sports talk through social media. But I wanted to twist Anthony's arm to force him to become a part of this show. So anything Anthony does, I support, and as well as Anthony, he's very busy with school, so he won't be on here as much. But I hope he grows because that's all I want as an individual person. I always want to see my people eat around me. I want them to grow as I grow because, they want to see me succeed as much as I do want to see them succeed. And that goes in the same factor. I want to see the Rockets succeed. I want to see the Texans, the Astros. But, speaking about the Rockets, they have a big game tomorrow, like I said. But we get our full roster tomorrow. And I'm really eager to see what John Wall does. Like I was breaking down the game. I was breaking down the game in my other YouTube video, and it showed that John Wall it was a preseason game. It was the first preseason game, but that John Wall and James Harden shared on the court. It was game 3, and there was a lot of standing around. It looked pretty bad, but it can't look any worse than the last 2 games. So anything is better. I'm just happy John Wall's coming back. Excuse me, and DeMarcus Cousins. Just that. Silas deserves a roster. I mean, Silas had it really hard, and he doesn't deserve what has happened this offseason. I hope Coach Silas wins Coach of the Year with the fact that everything that he went through this summer, not even summer, this offseason, this short offseason that lasted forever. Now, this was the shortest offseason in NBA history, but for Rockets fans, this was the longest offseason in Rockets history because it just lingered on. Every day was something new, something different between, if it wasn't Russ, it was James Harden. If it wasn't neither one of those guys, it was Eric Gordon with that quote that came out. But I never personally heard Eric Gordon say that. I kind of knew that he was frustrated, but, I blame that really on, the point guard that was leading the way and Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni never wanted to bring Russ on this team, and I don't blame him. You see what the record is in Washington. Washington is 0-4, but I'm really not going to blame Russ because Russ just doesn't fit the modern NBA. And I'm not trying to take shots at him. I felt like he would have been very productive if he would have just knew, all right, this is what I have to do to win. And I think he does understand that, but he doesn't need to get 15 assists. He doesn't need the ball that much because if you're getting 15 assists, there's some way somehow that you're getting the ball a little too much, especially with a guy like Bradley Beal on the floor. Not saying that Bradley Beal necessarily needs the ball as much as Russ, but there are a lot of young pieces on that team that are more than capable of putting the ball inside that hole. That's the main goal. Score more, stop the other team from doing it as well, and keep going. But all this bickering and drama is getting a little ridiculous, and I'm glad things are out folding out for the Rockets. They got rid of Russ, and we added John Wall, who's a pure leader, who's not a me guy. You know what I mean? In some sense, he is, but he wants to win, and yes, Russ does as well. And I'm not here to bash Russ. I'm never gonna bash Russ. I'm not like these other channels and these other podcasts are, oh yeah, I'm so happy we got rid of him. Because no, I feel like Russ would have been very, very efficient on this team if he would have bought all in, if he would have changed his attitude. Because I'm not sure if he has a bad attitude. I'm just saying, if he was and fully engaged, into this team and devoted. Now, I don't even necessarily know if James Harden is devoted all the way. But one thing I do know is when James Harden is on that floor, he's going to give it everything he got. And that's the biggest thing that we could go with James Harden from here because I think Washington is very talented. They're a very talented team with a lot of young pieces. And so far, I heard that, and this is very early in the season, I don't see the need to be breaking up a lot of teams. So what I heard was that then these are all speculations that they could trade Russ, and that's a possibility that they could trade Russ into who I don't know, maybe to Detroit and for Blake Griffin and, maybe Picks or somebody else, because I'm not too sure. Blake has played so this year, nothing to run away with. But those triple doubles are what you're getting with Russ. You're not really getting a bona fide winner, even though he has a winning mentality. Um, you're getting a 50-50 guy. If you're going to win, you're going to lose. He's not a loser. I'm not going to say that. He's never been a loser. I think you still have a chance to make the playoffs, and I still think Washington has a chance to make the playoffs. But him going to Detroit, he'll reunite with Grant, and there are a lot of pieces there. I don't know how he fits with Derrick Rose. I think Derrick Rose will get traded as well if they package that up. But like I said, um, yeah, it'll be Blake. I picture Derrick Rose, maybe some picks, uh, maybe another player to make it work out. I'm not necessarily sure how the money will work out, but yeah, there's a big possibility that Russ could be on the move again this season. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that. And it matters how bad Washington is, because there's a possibility that they could also trade away Bradley Beal. Now, does that necessarily mean that he wants out, or they're going to try to go another route? I'm not sure. They could even trade with Houston to get Brad. See, now the Rockets trade for Bradley Beal. I don't necessarily, man, I wouldn't understand that, but Bradley Beal back with John Wall will just be the Washington Wizards with a different coach. And Silas is not the Washington Wizards' last few coaches. So Silas is the main factor in this. We won't be Washington because we have a winning coach. Now, that was just a rumor I heard, that the fact that, we could trade with Washington, that they're a team on the radar. Also, I still hear Philadelphia, they could do a trade with the Rockets in the next 2 days if they wanted to. The only process that is stopping this is that the Philadelphia 76ers kind of want to let this play out and let this, I don't know. I think they want to see, hey, where do we stand? Do we want to give up this much? Is Ben Simmons worth just a straight up trade with James Harden? Do we have to give up more? Do we have to give up less? Would Houston have to give up more? But as of right now, the Rockets are winning the negotiations because just the way James Harden is playing. And that is, the blatant obvious. And Ben Simmons is playing really well too. So Vegas has Philadelphia as the lead dog in getting James Harden. But there are 6 other teams that I do not know, and ESPN has not said, or any other social media or Bleacher Report has posted out that there are other teams that are involved. But all I know right now, there are 6 teams that are involved in this whole process of getting James Harden right now. But like I said, I'm waiting for Anthony to get on too. I love his opinion and what he has to say. One thing that Anthony does see, he does see this team, as in the Rockets, making it to the playoffs with James Harden right now. He, even no matter what happens, he still sees, as long as James Harden's on this team, he sees them getting into the playoffs. And that's the main thing. You just want to get into the playoffs because they already started off slow. Not that that's that important, starting off 0-2 does play a factor. You want to start off well. And, that's why this game, the next one, is very important. And usually, their success rate on New Year's Eve is very successful. James Harden got a triple double with 50 points on New Year's versus the New York Knicks. And I think they played last year on New Year's. If I'm not too sure, I can't really remember. And they play so many times on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. So, but they're very successful, and I expect them to win tomorrow. Hopefully, I think when teams travel nowadays, and with COVID being such an issue, I think teams are going to take traveling more serious, because when I say that, I mean it's a process just to get from Sacramento to Houston. It's a process to get to Houston to Dallas. There are you have to make you have to get everybody tested. I mean, you have to make sure these players are taking the right steps to be available for not just the next game, but as you already seen for the several weeks. We can't afford to have another certain amount of people missing games. I mean, you just can't. That's something that already hurt us, and you already seen. I mean, I don't know how many times we could do that, but I don't expect us to be the only team that got hit by this factor of getting hit by the virus. I expect other teams and make sure it's the teams that are not disciplined. And the Rockets were one of the most non-disciplined teams in the off season with the way they're acting, the way they're carrying themselves, and with the whole drama. I think they got blindsided. And I blame it's not the players whose fault. If a player gets COVID, it's not the player's fault. Because remember, the teams are the ones who are doing the testing. So when I say that, it was the Rockets' fault that they allowed this to happen. You got to blame the management because what happened was a player got tested. When the player got tested, they had the results, but they haven't got them in yet. They allowed that player to keep, doing everyday things. And he just went about his business. And then they found out that he had COVID. Now the COVID was spread across the team. So it's the Rockets' fault. The whole organization has been very bad so far. I hope they get it together and we'll have to see down the road. But I blame the management, and I don't really blame Silas. That's out of his hands. And I don't blame Stone. It's all the other management in the building that are allowing this to happen. Um, you know, that's something that has to get straightened out. And they need to stop focusing on such a James Harden drama, and they need to focus on. Uh, they need to focus on. Excuse me, I'm sorry. They need to focus on the fact that. Um, they need to focus on the fact that the bigger picture is the player's health. That's the most important thing. I'm never going to steer away from that. And as a player and as an athlete, that's very important. This is what brings in the income, but the health is the most important thing. If that's why Russ left. Russ, he left the fact that he didn't feel safe because of the way the Rockets were carrying their organization. They were careless with the virus, and later, I think last week, news came out that James Harden had got the virus. Russ had got the virus. Two of your star players might have missed the bubble, and why go to the bubble if you're the Rockets in that fact? You know what I mean? You probably would have got knocked out, but the Rockets forced these two players to hurry up, get healthy, force them inside the bubble, and that's what happened. That's why both those players didn't travel with the team the first week that everybody else traveled to Florida. And I say that they did mess up, and you already seen that it carried on to the regular season. So I mean, what is the organization doing? I mean, really, it's not about winning a championship. It's not about making it to the playoffs. It's not about winning the next game. It's about how they're controlling themselves on a daily basis. How are they a legit organization that cares about the athletes and their health, or they just want them to go out there and be robots? You know what I mean? As a man, when I have a job,